Hey guys, welcome to the vlog, and this week we're going to be talking about climbing Mount Fuji in Japan, which is a topic that some people asked for in some of the comments. So I climbed Mount Fuji back in 2008. It's a really cool experience. I thoroughly recommend it to anyone. In fact, that was my main reason for going to Japan, as well as to see some family and friends, but Mount Fuji was high up on my list. So here's how to do it. So you know all those iconic shots of Mount Fuji with the snow on the top and blue skies, and there's sort of like cherry blossoms in the foreground? Well, I didn't see any of that. So the climbing season is really in the summer, so you're not going to see much snow on there. And there's a lot of cloud around, so basically what I saw was this. And so you take a bus there from Tokyo, and your bus takes you to a place called the 5th station. And there are, I think, 8 or 9 stations all the way up the mountain in total. So your bus is going to stop at probably here, which is this should be the 5th station. And when you start climbing, you'll see this map. Obviously, this map is situated here, a little bit along the route. So you get to this 5th station, and you start ascending. And I'm going to show you guys some photos so you can see, it's obviously a volcano. So when you're at the 5th station, this is what you see. When I was there, the summit was in the cloud. And you look up at this volcanic ash and rock slope, perhaps a little bit of snow around. And as you start climbing, there's not a lot of vegetation. So you're already about a third of the way up the mountain, possibly. So you're climbing up, and it's very windy, and you may have clouds swirling around below you, which is quite exciting. Now, if you decide to climb the mountain all the way from the bottom, you'll actually start in sort of lush forests and eventually work your way up to the volcanic areas. And you can see the forest in the background here. But most people start, probably 99% of people start at the 5th station, which is the highest accessible by road highest point accessible by road. And so as you're climbing up, you'll see a lot of cool scenery. There's actually, a few buildings on the way up, small buildings, and you get to, well, in my case, I stayed in a mountain hut at the 8th station. It's around 3,400 meters. And so I get to this hut, and, I don't know any Japanese. So I had this phrase book, and I went in, and they kind of looked at me strangely as if they didn't really know what to do because they didn't speak English. And I had practiced ages and ages. I have a reservation. I've forgotten it now. But and I went up to the guy, and I read this line in Japanese, and he was like, whoa, And he especially got some guy who could speak English to come and show me around their mountain hut and, provide me with a bed. Now, I'd booked the hut in advance, so if you're thinking of going, you need to research this online. You actually do have to phone up, or you might have to get a Japanese person to phone up and book the hut for you in advance. Now, this hut, they have a drink in Asia. It's called Pocari Sweat, and this hut seemed to be selling a lot of this drink. And I'd run out of water, and I just wanted to buy some water, so I pointed at what I thought was a bottle of water, and when I looked at it in my hand, it said something sweat on it. That sounded quite disgusting, and you don't have this drink in the West, but in Asia it's really big. And so I didn't know Japanese, so I didn't know how to like return this item. So, but I know Chinese. So, and some of the characters are the same, the written form. So I drew the Chinese character for water on a piece of paper, and I held it up to the guy, and he understood and changed my 2 bottles of Pocari Sweat to water. So the tradition on Mount Fuji is to get up really early and get to the top of the mountain to watch the sunrise, okay? And this is something that all Japanese people must do at least once in their life, right? And it's not too big of a goal to reach, because it's not that hard a mountain, all right? It's 3,700 meters, but it's not a hard climb. It's reasonably easy. So now, when I mean get up early to watch the sunrise, I mean get up really early, like so early that you might as well have not gone to sleep. So I actually got up at 1:30 a.m. on that day, and that was late. Some people got up at 12:30 and left the hut to go to the top of the mountain. It was about 300 or 400 meters to the top from the hut. And first thing that happened when I came out of the hut, my head torch battery went. So I had no light. And so, well, I just had to do it by moonlight. And your eyes quickly get used to it, so it wasn't too much of a problem. So for the first half an hour, I was climbing away, and at this point it gets quite, there's a lot more use of your hands. You start scrambling over rocks. It's not quite a walk anymore. And then you start getting to these zigzags as you're approaching the summit. And as I got to these zigzags, I had to line up. There were these huge tour groups of Japanese people, not necessarily very able-bodied, and they were totally clogging up the path. Now, Japan is very regulated, so even in climbing their mountains, you can't just climb anywhere. They have like an ascent path and a descent path, and the ascent path has little ropes on the side, right? So you're not allowed to go out just on normal parts of the mountain and climb. But, at that time, I was a professional mountain leader, so I was, totally up for exploring a bit and trying to get ahead and get to the summit before sunrise. And so whenever I came to a corner in the zigzag, I would just cut the corner, scrambling over some rocks, jumping over these ropes, and these Japanese tour guides were getting really annoyed and kept shouting at me. And but I was really racing to get to the summit to get this sunrise because I knew I wanted to get a really good shot. And I stopped because I stopped a little bit before the summit because I thought that I wouldn't get there in time, and I took a couple of shots of the sky and the clouds just as an insurance. And then I kept going, and I got to this point just below the summit, and it's a traditional gate. It's very beautiful, and I stopped there ready, and luckily it was about 4 a.m. or 4:15 a.m. just before the sun came up, and just as the sun was about to come up, I got this most awesome shot, which is probably one of the coolest shots I've ever taken. I know I always say that in these videos, but it is really cool, like a postcard. The light streaks you see in the foreground are people's head torches. They obviously packed spare batteries, unlike myself. And then we're ready for the sunrise. And, well, when the sunrise started to occur, this is what I saw. Just as the sun came up, the cloud came in. So I was out of luck. So I went up to the crater, had a bowl of some amazing noodle soup, and I was going to walk around the crater, but it was completely in clouds, so no point. And then I decided to descend the mountain down a strangely wide and easy descent path, which could have served as an ascent route and stopped all the crazy lining up, but no. And on the way down, I met this American guy who was kind of lost. He couldn't read the Japanese. He could only read 2 of the alphabets. Japanese has 3 alphabets. One is from Chinese, which I can read. He could read the other 2. And so he asked me, what does this mean? And between me and him, we could just about decipher Japanese. And I made friends with this guy, and we went and visited a hot spring. And Japanese hot springs are awesome, so I would thoroughly recommend it. So guys, that's basically how to climb Mount Fuji. You take the bus to the 5th station, you hike up to the 8th station where you sleep in a hut, you get up ridiculously early, like 1:30 a.m., get to the top for sunrise, and if you're lucky, you'll see a sunrise. If not, all you'll see is cloud. So let me know what you think in the comments, and if you're planning on going to Japan, climbing Mount Fuji, send me a message. I can give you some more detailed tips about it and how to book the hut, etc. Give this video a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll be doing more of these videos in the future, telling you guys about travel and taking the camera on some more trips. We should have some more videos on the Learn Chinese Now channel this week too. Okay guys, bye for now.